Hello, and welcome to the Joy Corner. I'm Carol DeChaine, your intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters. And the Joy Corner nowadays, all the new ones anyway, are mini lessons. So take what you need and just let go of the rest. This time, it's all about using your intuition. And the question is, are you using it? And a lot of times in the past, I would go, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I could have done that. I would have done that, but I had these questions or I didn't feel like doing it. If you have something telling you, and we all do, whether you listen at all or not, is something else, and you go, all right, is this my truth? Is this what I need to do? And something happens and you go, oh, I knew I should have done that. That means you didn't listen to your intuition. That means that your intuition was yelling at you and you was like, oh, I don't, for whatever reason, you went, no. Or you just, maybe it was just a passing thought and you didn't listen. But it was a really good idea. And something happens, maybe you thought, oh, I should go for that promotion. Nah. And then somebody else gets it who you think is not nearly as good as you are for that. Or you make a left turn thinking, oh, I think I should go this way, but I really feel like I should go right turn. And you go left turn and there's an accident, but right turn would have been clear. I mean, there's every instance in the world where you can use your intuition. You can use that feeling that you get, and all it is this little voice that can get louder. But the problem is if you don't use it, it gets quieter again. I took a class, and how I learned to use my intuition better, not completely. I took a class at a psychic institute. And then I decided I liked it so much because really it was, yeah, talking to dead people and it was helping people with answers to their questions and all the things that you hear of psychics doing. But the whole point was you didn't know what was going on with the other person. It was a stranger most of the time. And the first time I did that, I was like, it's a stranger because they did a fair and I was the psychic at the fair. And I was like, oh, I was taking classes and I was trying to listen to my intuition, trying to trust it is the thing. Are you using it? But you won't use it if you don't trust it. So I went to that first fair. I had a bunch of people. And the first person they pulled towards me, I don't know how good they were. They were good at seeing issues and seeing like minds, and they shoved this person in front of me. And one of the things I read for her was she had three issues she was working on. And so she came up with three issues, and they were my issues. They're the same three issues I was working on. And I thought, well, that's weird. But I always felt like, oh, well, that was them connecting us because they have this really good thing going. They can see auras and figure out who would match up. But the second person that came to me, I don't remember the other two issues, but she wanted to know her spirit animal. And I thought, I've never had a spirit animal. Well, I'm sure I probably do, but I don't pay attention. I always talk to angels instead at the time. And I thought, oh, geez, okay, how am I going to come up with this? And I started seeing Alvin and the Chipmunks. And I thought, well, that's really weird. So maybe it's a squirrel because we don't have chipmunks here in California, which is where I was. No surprise, right? The woo woo class. And I was like, all right. So I went ahead and told her about squirrels. It's probably a squirrel. And then I was talking about it. And I said, all right. I kept seeing Alvin and the Chipmunks. I said, I guess I have to tell you. What I'm actually seeing is Alvin and the Chipmunks. And she went, oh my God. And I thought, I had my eyes shut. And I was like, what? And she went, I've always wanted Alvin and the Chipmunks to be my spirit animal. And I went, excuse me? That was so specific. It still makes me tear up because it made me, that one instance made me trust my intuition. It made me realize that either I'm reading somebody or I'm feeling something. There's something out there that, or in here, that I can trust that's real because that was such a weird incident. It was something that made me go, what? Wait, what? And she got up and she hugged me afterwards because she was so excited that Alvin and the Chipmunks were her spirit animals. So, I mean, I only didn't say that the first time because I thought it was so random and weird. And that's why in California there were squirrels. There aren't chipmunks that I know of, and at least not our section of California. So when I actually listened to the intuition, because it came back, kept poking me, going, "No, say Alvin and the Chipmunks. Here's the picture." And I went, "All right." But it was that trusting of that intuition that made it work for her. So that's kind of a randomly strange thing, but but it made me trust my intuition way more. And then when I read people, I just allowed whatever was coming through to come through. And a lot of times, even now, I can do that. Well, I can't. I do that, but I don't do it on purpose for people. I don't read people, but I could. If they ask me, I will. And the funniest thing is that I never know what's coming out, and I have to trust it. And that's trusting your intuition, trusting whatever power that you have. And everybody can be psychic, everybody can be intuitive. Whether you don't like the word psychic and you prefer intuitive or whatever, it's all the same thing. It really is. It doesn't mean you have to read tarot cards or, be kinetic or do whatever that you want to do to be use your intuition. All it means is you can use it to whatever level you want, but it means listening to that inner voice, listening to the connection that you have, maybe with a higher power. Maybe that's where you're getting information from. Whenever I read other people, I do try and I go higher because I don't want to talk and read them here. I want to read them their best and their whatever it is that they need. So when it comes to your intuition, just realize that if you feel like you're getting bad information, maybe you need to reach higher for your information. You need to go deeper. It depends on what you feel best doing. If you don't believe in spirit, then you go inside yourself deeper. Meditation will help you because you can go inside and get answers. You can get answers while you're walking. You can get answers while you're gardening. You can get answers while you're in traffic, while you're showering. It doesn't matter. There's no one way to do it. You don't have to meditate. It helps calm your mind, but you can meditate while you're walking and while you're gardening and while you're in traffic, as long as you don't yell at people. And so being in touch with your intuition, if wherever you get your best ideas from, if you're creative and you know exactly where you get them from, or you're not creative particularly, and it's more business related, it doesn't mean you're not being creative. It just means you're hooking into that intuition that's coming up with ideas that you go, wait, where'd that come from? And that's why sometimes hooking with someone else so that you can have it's not their idea or your idea, it's a better idea because your two intuitions come together and you end up with this amazing idea. So if you brainstorm with someone else, that can help. It'll help solidify your intuition as well as theirs if you do that. But realize that if you're not using your intuition, you're going to constantly look back and say, oh, I should have done that. Why didn't I do that? Or how come I didn't know that? And it means that sometimes we have to baby along our intuition, use it more often, ask more often, because it means if we can't hear it at all, we've layered stuff on top of it. That little voice is gotten really tiny because we haven't been listening at all. And maybe you remember a time, there's a number of people that remember a time when they were children where they saw invisible people and maybe they were dead people. They saw they did things, they knew things that they don't know now that they're older. They don't connect as well because they've learned not to do it. Maybe their parents said, there's nobody there, don't say that. Or don't do that when you're having this great imaginative idea. And the imaginative idea could be something you want to do for a life thing later. It could be your career that's coming up, but it's coming up in some randomly strange way as a child. So if you have children, don't shove them down. Ask them questions. Oh, why do you think that? Oh, who do you think you're seeing? Oh, because I've read stuff about that. I don't know anybody who did that, but where they talked to somebody who had recently passed, or they thought they were the person that recently passed, and they would give all these information out, and you're going, I don't know, the parents. Instead of that, ask them questions. Write everything down. See if you can figure out who they're talking to or who they think they are. I mean, randomly stuff. And a lot of that is intuition, and a lot of that is other things that we won't go into here, like life, past life, and things. But if you're using your intuition, when something happens, you go, aha, I knew it. Or you just say, oh, yeah, I remember being pulled in this direction, and this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed. So look at what you're doing. Look at who you are, how you're connecting to either source or your intuition or whatever you want to call it, because it's all one thing, basically. And the higher you reach to get your information, the clearer the information will become. So that's kind of reaching into a different, uh, a different mini lesson. But let me just say that you'll know when you're using your intuition. If you aren't sure, you might not be using it very often, or maybe not hardly at all. But know that if you can feel that pull to do something, that's your intuition. You may not hear a voice. I hear a voice sometimes, and it's going, no, 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 don't do that. Or, yes. And maybe that's all I hear. And it's not always a voice, it's just a feeling. But You can know when it's right for you. You can feel it generally. Most people can. And if you can't, then you just have to connect more. Do the walking meditation. Ask for more information, and then don't just keep talking. Listen. Listen. Shut up. I'm telling myself that. Sometimes I gotta shut up because I keep talking, as you can probably tell. I don't just ask the question and wait. So if you ask a question and a lot of stuff comes up, that's great. It really is. You don't have to be quiet. Listen to it all, figure it out, think about it, and then go back to the question you had, back to what information you wanted after you get all that stuff out. Because that's the stuff up here, that's the automatic, no, you can't, whatever it may be that comes up subconsciously. All that comes out right away. Then, then ask it again, and then shut up at that point. See what happens. And if random thoughts come in, see if they're connected. And if they're not, let them go. But sometimes a disconnected thought is also a good thought to have for your answer. You might be asking about your job, and something says, I need to go to the store right now. And you're going, or I need to go to bingo tonight, or something randomly strange. I heard of someone going to a bingo club she didn't want to go to. And she sat down in the back, played, and didn't know that she wanted to. And there was an older gentleman next to her. He helped her. She helped him do the bingo because he couldn't see that well. And it turns out when they started talking in between, and she said she just lost her job, or she didn't like her job. I can't remember the story. And he told her, "Oh, what do you do?" And she told him, and he goes, "Oh, my son's in that. My son does that kind of work. Let me give you his card. I'll talk to him and maybe you can get an interview." And she did. And going to the bingo game was the best thing that happened to her. And it was all because something told her to go, even though she didn't really want to. She listened to that intuition. So it can be the randomly strange thing that comes to you. Just listen and do it. If you sometimes you feel a poke, it's like, no, do it, no, do it. Or do say this, say this. And that's nowadays that's what I get. When I'm talking to someone, I go, oh, I don't know, I don't want to say that. That's too personal. I don't know them that well, but I keep going, do it. And when I get that and I do say something, I say, I don't know why I'm saying this, but for some reason, let me just say this. And that most of the time people go, oh my God, oh, that's really helpful. Thank you. Or, sometimes it's randomly, they don't want to look at the situation, so they won't say thank you because sometimes it's just like pushing yourself in somebody's face, which is why I don't do it very often. But when you get that random, hey, you need to say it, you need to do it, you need to, and it's more than once. Usually it's more than once if you're really listening to your intuition. Listen, feel like you're using it because the more you don't, the quieter it will get. And the more you do, the more you'll get this poking feeling or that yes, do it, or whatever it is that your intuition, how it talks to you. Thank you for listening today. I always love talking about this. And if you need more information, by all means, contact me. Again, my name is Carol DeChaine. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe and do the bell notification if you want to know the next time that one of mine comes out. And until next time, I know that you are a beautiful soul and that you are doing everything you can to be who you need to be in this lifetime, to learn your lessons and to be that best person that you can be. Until next time.